All right, we are back on the warehouse job. Coming around the corner to the job site here with the dump truck trying to load the last little bit. We were removing topsoil in the last bit of it. Going to go back to finishing removing that topsoil. And then we're going to be excavating quite a bit by the sound, so I assume it's going to be some of the foundation. We're at 83% on the removal of the topsoil. Let's see if we can track over here and get this loaded out here. I basically did most of this with the loader and just finishing up with the excavator. Hoping in a few more jobs here, be able to have the Cat 349. Makes a lot of this a little bit quicker, though it's probably a little large for some of these smaller jobs. This one does do a decent job sneaking into some of the smaller jobs, other than the Mini really getting tight spaces. But of course, the smaller excavator you have, the smaller buckets you got. Do the same amount of work, it just takes a little bit longer. I guess I've still got 10% here. This truck seems to be loading very odd. I think I'm going to reposition it. And maybe make another load or two out with the bucket loader. It does seem to load just a little bit quicker. Might just be uneven ground. It seems a little finicky sometimes on accepting material in the dump trucks. If you're not sitting just right, it loads them a little off. We really don't have much there. And as I come up through the side here and clean this edge up, Trying to watch my yellow meter with my bucket. I don't want to fill it and then push dirt, because that kind of pushes stuff outside the borders. You want to get just to the point where you're full right there and pick up back out and leave it for the next scoop. Otherwise you end up making more of a mess. It kind of did a little bit. Sometimes it's even just before you're full stopping. Whoa, what happened? Alright, I guess that was a little weird. Little out-of-body experience, I guess, for a moment. It's been about a week or so since I've been live. Still doing my lives on Twitch. Uploading them to YouTube after the fact, hoping eventually I can get enough followers, or maybe I can go live on YouTube and not so much do the Twitch thing. Or maybe I'll go live on both, who knows. But long and short of it, it's been about a week or so. And I haven't looked at the job, but I want to say after this, there's quite a list of excavation. Doesn't really tell you what you're excavating. You don't know until you get to it. Marks it out just the way this yellow line is, and it just says excavate the site. You don't really know how deep it is, so there's nothing really to say how much of a cut you're going to make. Most people don't even make cuts, I guess, in this game. You just dig it out. I am going to try and do everything in cuts and shelves when I can. Obviously, some of these smaller jobs, it doesn't even make sense to do it. But as you get into the bigger jobs, doing foundation for, there is a, oh man, what was the other job I was doing? Museum extension, which is a humongous foundation, probably a 10-foot cut. And instead of just cutting the entire 10-foot cut in one swoop, loading it all out into a truck, it's sometimes find it more efficient to make a 2-3 foot cut, get the whole entire thing shelved down a little bit, leave yourself a shelf around the edge, and then cut your center down and work yourself around it. Gives yourself a place to walk around a little bit and be into the job site without getting yourself into a corner, having to reset yourself all the time and get back to the road and then try and get back into the job site and do it again. We're at 98% here, and I think anything we got is going to be right along these edges here. Red, right where I'm sitting, and a little bit back there. So we'll continue on to the loader, get this thing back out of the way. Take a quick second and view our job. Yeah, so foundation, excavation, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we have 10 different steps of foundation excavation, which is going to basically mean that there's going to be 10 separate holes somewhere. And then we have foundation, which I'm assuming is going to be concrete. Crane, prefabricated components and placement. Yeah, so we'll be getting concrete ready after that. So let's finish up getting this topsoil removed. It's really not that big of a job site, so I can't imagine where we'd have all that excavation going on, but I guess we'll see as we go. There's really no blueprints per se that you're going to follow. There's nothing that really shows a job step by step. It just kind of, it's very vague in your job description on these simulator jobs. %. This is probably going to get us where we need to be. Up 100%. So we'll set this last bucket loader load into the dump truck. Clear the marked area of my bucket loader. And that is going to set us into the first round of ungodly amount of excavation. Looks like we have 5 of them right off the bat. And I would assume, judging by playing this game as many times as I have, basically we're going to dig these out individually, and it's going to be concrete pillars, which I think it said that, mentioned that in the job list there. So let's real quick, we'll see how far away the gravel pit is. Pretty good shot, so I'm not going to worry about driving there. We'll just do the auto dump thing again. And we're going to load out this material too. A lot of people on these small little digs like this just dig out the hole and leave the material off to the side. Any chance you can get to load out material and get rid of it is extra money. You always want to make sure when you're setting up to dig, one, you can reach your truck comfortably, dump. 2, you got to make sure that when you swing around, you've got all that counterweight hanging off the back side that's going to swing a little bit closer than where this side's landing. So you got to make sure you've got enough where when you swing, that counterweight isn't hitting your dump truck. You can get a full turn out of it. And you got to make sure you're close enough to your hole where you can reach the other end of it, which we're just at that limit. I'm probably going to set myself a little bit closer to that hole. That was an ugly reach out there. Try and pull a little of that material that I made a mess of back in there, and then we'll set into scooping and just cut a little bit easier with that. As you can see, 35% on that hole, a couple scoops out of it, so it's going to be quite a deep hole before we're done. A little bit tough digging tight holes in these simulator. They've done a really good job with it, but it's definitely not the same as digging dirt in real life. You kind of got to stick your teeth down into the hole and pick off the back side and let it fall down into the hole, and then you scoop the loose stuff, where this just kind of balloons all your dirt. It's a little bit funky. You just got to work with it the best you can. Try not to blow it all out. Make a ring all across the top side of it. Make it as less mess as you can, I guess. Looks like we've got the bottom of it there. %. So one more scoop, we'll have that one done. Just 4 more to go. So kind of just getting in toward the backside and getting this, well, I'm going to be done this one before I can even explain myself, but kind of just scooping the edge of the hole more than trying to just continue to scoop out of the center. Kind of helps out a little bit, kick your stick back out too as you drag into these holes when it's tight. You get in, you come back and stick in, and then instead of continuing to pull yourself in and pull all that material up out of the hole, stick back out a little bit as you come up, and then resettle. .95% on the second hole, so I gotta imagine one more scoop here, we'll have that. We'll move on, that'll be 2 holes done. Fairly quick. Trying to swing around here as quick as I can. Okay, well, there's our second hole. 3 more to go. Probably going to center myself in between these 2 holes and set my dump truck up one more time rather than shuffling more than I have to. A lot of times when guys are setting their truck up, they'll almost have the excavator guide them by holding your bucket over kind of where you want to be. Yeah, I guess we're going to put it over here. So say you're going to dump about right here. That's about your height. Set it right there, and then you've got something guide backing your dump truck into. Or if somebody's driving truck for you, they know where you want. They know, you know, where they want you set. There you go. And there you go. Basically, drove the truck right up underneath the bucket. Now I know I've got perfect reach from there. Seem to be grabbing about 20% per scoop, so maybe get 90 on this one here. Ooh, 85, so 15%. I think as ungodly monotonous as it is, as soon as we're done this, jumpy with the controls there. As soon as we're done this side, I believe we just jump over to the other side of the foundation where we strip the topsoil off and dig 5, 6, however many holes we had to begin with. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 more holes. So nothing too exciting going to be happening. I'll try and get about an hour and a half in on this live. I'll try and go live again tomorrow morning. I'm going to try and do it again tomorrow afternoon, evening-ish. I might have to set this truck up different. Maybe I'll just try and do it from here. A little over 3/4 full in the dump truck. Trying to take my teeth and just push them into the top of that load. It spreads it out a little bit, kind of helps you get to that 100% level on the truck. Not sure if they intend to have you do that on the game or if it just works out that way, but kind of acts as fluff. It's just a cloudy pile of fluff, but you can, if you see it, yeah, see it kind of just disappears and moves around. But that should get us a little closer to 100. See, we're still at 3/4. I don't know. Keep loading the truck for a second. Clean up the edge. Cleans it up for you when you're done the level, but I always try and keep things as clean as I can. Keeps it a little bit more realistic. $93, so we should have one more scoop there. We'll get on to our final hole of this side. Like I said, I think we're jumping over to the other side and doing 5 more holes, so that should be all 10 of that long list of excavation jobs. I kind of assumed we'd be digging a foundation on this one, but that's okay. Get on to doing something a little bit more on this page than just doing dirt work. Whoops, wrong way. Just trying to make sure I got enough room for my counterweight as I am getting a little bit close to that truck. I'm probably going to empty it out real quick before I do this because I know I'm not going to have enough room for all the material that's in that hole. It's a bigger yellow excavator cat. I know. I just started this game fresh, so I don't have the money for it. I just bought this JCB. As soon as I get the money, I will be buying it. it does make these holes go way quicker. It's almost, I don't know. It's almost a little more fun to do it with this thing, but it just takes a little time. Certainly a lot easier to fit this little JCB bucket in the dump truck too, versus that 349 is it's got a lot of bucket on it. All right, so now we are opened up to our other 5 holes on the opposite side of the job site. So I'm going to get myself up. Boy, how do I want to do that? I guess I'll leave the dump truck curbside. And I'll jump up there. Not sure how close I am here. Yeah. Guess we'll kitty corner it in just a little bit. It's hard to tell. You can't see out of your mirrors at all. The only thing you can see behind you is out of this left side. And I use POV for everything I can. This is what I was trying to explain earlier, I guess. When you've got the material that's kind of caving down in, instead of just digging in the center continuously and moving material around, you kind of get the edge of your teeth in and just put it in a scoop, and you can watch the edge of that pile, the hole, open up just a little bit more as you come down through. It's a little hard to tell because they animate a lot of dust in there, but you can see it opening right up. There we go, 100%. Sometimes when you dig in the middle and you end up just pushing material around, you scoop out some, but then you end up pushing some of it right back in. Boy, the truck is really not in a convenient spot here. Guess I'm not going to get so lucky this time as far as not setting my truck up a few different times. That's kind of a little bit in the efforts to explain doing this in real life versus on the game. You'd kind of get your teeth in over here at an angle on the opposite side of it. Dig it back almost at a 45 and cut down. And then that's where you stick back and pull that material back out, and you leave this face closest to you straight up and down. And then once that face is 45'd, come back to it here in a second. That's where you would take your teeth, bucket curled all the way out, and just kind of pop in with your teeth, and you can kind of carve that back side down and pull it into the pile, and then reach in and scoop it out. Obviously, it's a little bit nonsense to do it on here because you're just fluffing stuff around, but it kind of worked, I guess. Okay, 3 holes left. One's already 1% done. I haven't even touched it yet. It's oddly convenient. Let's see if we work this out right. We can at least not move for this run. It's very close to me. It's a weird habit when you run excavator in real life. You kind of dig into those holes, and you come out of it. You curl up and you do a stick shake and a bucket curl just right where it levels the dirt off inside the bucket. It shake levels it, and you get in such a habit of doing it that I find myself doing it in this game, even though I have no reason at all to do it. Working into the night hours, so skipping the morning just because I did just start this game running on rental equipment, so don't really want to skip any more time than I have to, so it doesn't cost me any more money than I have to. I do own the excavator. I'm renting the bucket loader, renting the dump truck. Don't believe I'm renting anything else. I think I own a roller by now. The Mini, maybe a couple other small items that they give you at the beginning of the game. I think a pickup truck, if I didn't sell that already. Don't really have a need for it. Usually I go to every job site once I get to that point of having enough equipment. Truck, trailer, lowboy. fast travel pretty much all the equipment to the job site, and then I travel with hauling the excavator just because I think it looks neat to haul an excavator on the back of a lowboy, but that's just me. Alright, 3 holes, we got 2 left. Swinging all the way around just to make sure I don't have anything that's behind me over here in this corner that's going to get caught by that counterweight, so you got to keep watch of it all the time, as well as where that stick's at. I'm going the wrong way. Still going the wrong way. Okay, here's where I want to be. Got 2 more holes here, and then I think we're going to start getting into some concrete pouring, which I don't own any of that stuff, so I'm probably going to have to rent a majority of that. Oops, I guess I already had lights on. Might be a little too close for that second. We can get it. Should be able to get both these holes with that truck sitting right there. Looks like it's quite full. Oh yes, it is. Should theoretically square up on it a little bit more than I am. Takes a second longer to kind of track back and forth for a second, get closer to the truck, but makes it a little easier than digging a square sideways. Trying to plummet through these last 2 holes here quick as I can so we can be done with this. Drag this on all night. Whoops. Getting too carried away. All right, 1 more hole. Whoops. Two people watching. This is only my fourth time going live on Twitch. Been uploading all these videos to YouTube after. I do have a YouTube channel as well. CS24 Player, I believe, is the what you're searching for. Obviously, you'll find all these same videos, as well as I've got a bunch of shorts, which is just obviously a bunch of small clips of doing this exact same thing. But a little less monotony than watching hours of the same thing. That's really what construction's about. It's a lot of doing the same thing for a long period of time. As somebody had mentioned in the comments earlier, there is, of course, the Cat 349 excavator in this game that makes holes like this a cakewalk. 1 bucket, maybe 2. had to punch through these holes that had been done a long time ago, but didn't really want to rent it. I've already owned this machine, trying to make as much money as I can with these jobs so I can make some progress and hopefully own that cat before very long. One nice thing about this game is you don't have a huge amount of business expenses per se. It's literally you just make money to buy equipment. There's nothing else you do with your money. So any bit you make just goes into equipment purchases as well as upgrades. You can upgrade your shop, I think, and upgrade your skill levels. I don't think that costs money though. I'm not sure. It's been a minute since I've messed with that stuff. I probably won't mess with it on any of my lives unless somebody requests me to do so, just because I think there are plenty of videos out there of people going through the options on these games and settings and all the things you can do and can't do, and I don't really get into that a whole lot. More just into it to do this. I enjoy doing construction. I enjoy it even more from my couch. Especially this time of year in Vermont, it is, well, I believe it was 9 degrees this morning. Maybe it was a little warmer today, but it's been very cold. Alright, we are going to clear the marked area. Empty this truck at the same time, make a little more, 3,281 off a partial load of soil. Set our bucket down here and jump out and see what our... Oh, we start to clear a bucket loader. Oh, something's going to be going over here. Whoops, I went back into those holes that we just dug. I don't really want to leave it on the back side of the job site either. They seem to fence all the jobs in. You got trees all around you. Once you start setting equipment back over on that side of it and this job progresses, you kind of get to a point where you can't really drive the equipment back out, so you don't want to set yourself up in that trap. Probably what I'm going to do is just set it over into the grass over here next to the road, so that way if I do need it, I can, worst case scenario, drive out into the road. This machine is on rubber tires, unlike the excavators. I try not to drive them on the curbs or the asphalt at all, but sometimes you just can't help it. Alright, so we have got 3 fabricated components. Quiver foundation, which is quite obviously going to be these things here. I think I'm going to attempt to set them all with the excavator just as they are at a low level, easy to get to. I can walk right down the center, and it saves me from having to rent a crane for a little bit longer than if I were to just rent it right now. I think we're 4:05 in the morning, so probably if I rented it now, I would have it for the day anyway, and I'm probably going to need it shortly, because I think after this goes on, there's going to be some taller pillars that go on top of these, and I'm not going to have much luck placing them with the excavator. Try and get myself weaseled in there. Again, trying to watch where that counterweight is. I don't want to swing into those concrete pillars, so I'm trying to keep my machine sideways as I turn my tracks. Oh. What happened? I stopped tracking. I guess nothing happened. Alright, so basically this is one of those moments where it's a teachable moment. I'm going to start placing all these, but I also want to be able to walk myself back off the job site before I'm done, so I'm going to start walking my first set way down there, second set, third set, fourth set. By the time I lay my last set, I can walk myself right back up and around the corner and be out of the way. Theoretically, I guess no matter which way you place them on here, you can walk right out the other way and end up out there in the trees, but then kind of got a weasel up there around that corner, which might get a little bit tight. Or you end up walking up the road, which you don't want to do that. So this is the safest bet, I think. Start placing these, wasting no time as I waste time. Try and slowly swing as I'm tracking down through here so I'm not wasting my time swinging once I get down here. Try and make as much time as I can. Alright, I got 5 out of 10. Halfway there. Trying to work myself a little closer to each edge so I don't have to reach as far as I walk down through. Ooh. even though they kind of bordered out the edge of this, you can kind of see tracking back and forth. I've more or less built an even ramp to go back up out of there instead of that jolting edge to the topsoil that we had cut. Pretty neat part of the game that they make it so as you track over things, you can see where you've traveled. As well as you can track pack a little bit, which I'm sure I'll get into a point where, not in this job, but I'll have to. It works quite well with the dozers too, but as long as it's not too much of a difference in terrain, you can usually track pack a little bit. Alright, that leaves us with, last but not least, our one last quivering foundation. It seems to be quivering over here all by itself. Alright, so now I can back myself right back up where these were. Get myself off to the side because I believe we've got to get some construction material, steel beams. So I guess being I don't have anything for equipment, trucks, or what have you, and I'm not going to rent it right this moment. I'll probably just get this stuff delivered to the job site real quick. Let's see if we can come up with a list. Everything in red is what we need for the job. Gives you the quantity of how many you're going to need total. So 4 of these, 7 of these. Turns green as soon as you get to your quantity. If you go over, it stays green. You've got to triangle back and get yourself to match quantities. I think that's it. So R2 over, you can hit square and auto load this onto a truck if you were here with a truck and do it that way. Deliver it to a warehouse, which is basically back to your garage, and then you've got to pick it up there and still bring it. So, and there's construction site. Once you get to the point of you having 2 or 3 jobs, you can click left and right and figure out which job site you want to deliver it to. We only have 1 job, of course, right now, so we're going to purchase all this stuff. And it's now all here. So we simply have to just place these steel beams into the blue highlighted areas. I guess I'll have to jump out and view a little closer here to see which ones are the steel beams. Pallet of wood, corrugated steel, rebar. I believe that's going to be the steel beams right there. Of course, it is. Maybe we'll shuffle things around real quick. Just going to spread things out. They give you this whole entire area, and that's apparently all this job site needs for materials, this little bit of stuff, so I guess we will have no need to have it piled up quite that tight. Spread it out a little bit so as we need it, we're not fighting for room. Though, you know, well, if I snuck over there and grabbed it, I'd end up pinching myself into a tight spot, but a lot of the stuff here can be stacked too, so set one there. Bring another one in, we'll set it right next to it. And then you can pile them. I think you can only go a certain amount high. I think like 4 rows high. It varies. You can stack it higher here than you can on a truck, I think, but regardless, we can stack a little bit of it here to consolidate a little bit of room and get ourselves into those steel beams that they conveniently piled all the way in the back. Seems no matter how it goes, if you do the auto delivery to the job site, they pile this stuff in the most inconvenient way they possibly can. Okay, that gets us access to our steel beams. See if we can weasel them out of there. I don't necessarily want to spin around yet and set them in place, because once they're in place, you can't move them, and you don't want to block yourself in, so I'm kind of just getting them a little bit closer here. We'll leave that set right there. And then we're going to slowly track backwards here. I still don't want to set them right where I want to be. I'm going to drop that one there. Kind of just working my way backwards. Not putting them in my way just yet. We'll get this thing out of the way so we know we can walk over there and not be pinched in the corner. We'll start with our furthest one back. Okay, there's our steel beams. And now that's where those are going to go, which is where I was saying I don't doubt that I can probably... Boy, maybe I can lift them up there. Trying to do anything I can to not rent that crane for as long as I have to. I'm already renting a dump truck, which I could probably return. I'm going to go ahead and check my job list. See if I even need the dump truck again. Gravel, yeah, I gotta get gravel in here. I gotta get the roller. And we're gonna need concrete. Sure, once I get to the roof structure, I'm going to have no choice but to rent the crane. But for right now, I'm going to see if I can swing these into place with the excavator. I think as long as I stay curled out, boom up as far as I can, and take up the rest with sticking up, I am officially off the ground. If I can remember which way is forward and backwards, that's not the right way. Track our way back, all the way to that very last one. Okay. Trying to reach out as far as I can here. That green. Yeah, that doesn't seem too bad. Again, I want to do those furthest ones back, especially with these. More important than with the last set. If you had done your very first one right next to you, even though it's close and easy, as soon as you go to pick this one up and swing it and walk your way down to do those further ones, that one right there would be right in your way. You'd have to work your way around that and every other one you place in front of it. So it's best to leave these ones right here for last. And just continue to walk your way down, do the furthest ones away, and work yourself to the closest. As I tracked down, I tried to line that white mark up with the center of those pillars, so that way I wouldn't have to do much adjustment when I got there. Alright, so that gives me 3 over here. I haven't placed a single one over here yet, so before I get too far, I'm probably going to place one on that further back corner so I can continue to somewhat evenly work these from one end to the other. So that white reference point right underneath the pillar as I'm going down through is basically dead center of that piece that I'm carrying. So as I track down through, if I can get myself to center that reference point up over the top of my pillar, it leaves a little less adjusting once you get down here. And you can pretty much drop it right into sight, right into place. Okay, just a couple more here on the back side. Basically swing this one right into place without even tracking anywhere. That's it for all of those steel beams being placed on top of the pillars. Work our way back out of this construction area. And now it's time to deliver and spread gravel, which I'm probably going to spread it with the bucket loader or excavator. I'm not going to rent any more equipment for this job. I've already got my dump truck here, so we'll not going to waste time with trips back and forth with the gravel pit, really, unless the gravel pit's close enough to the job site where it makes sense. So we'll auto fill in some gravel. It's going to be a little tough getting backed in here with all these steel beams. I think we'll I was going to try and tailgate spread a little bit of it, but I can always back in through those trees too. I think. Make my way in there. Ooh, right there I can. So I'm going to try and set over to this side so that way as I run my next layer of gravel up through I can see where I ended on the last run, because you can't see anything out the right side of these trucks as you go. Try and keep tight as we can to the steel I-beam so we don't have to spread it any further than need be without hitting them, of course. I'm getting pretty close. I'll let the rest pile right there at the end. Set ourselves up a little bit ahead here so we can come back and do that one more time. Probably a couple more, well, maybe 4 more times. I'm not sure. I've never tried flattening material out with a bucket loader, so I'm not really even sure how it's going to go. I'm going to give it a shot. I really don't have to level out too much, I don't believe, because I'm already Just what I've got here, I'm going to have 50% or better. So, I guess we'll start right off by jumping into that bucket loader and see what we can move around, if anything at all. Kind of just wanting to graze the top of it a little bit. I don't want to dig it all back up. I can kind of see by my bucket percentage that I'm kind of scraping it. Not sure if I can do any back dragging on this thing. Let's try. It's kind of working. I'm just pushing down and forward on the bucket and driving. Of course, I had a little spot there where I went the other way, but yeah, I think that actually worked. I might try that one more time up here. Seems to be taking away my percentage. Definitely not working the greatest. Might have to bite the bullet and rent that dozer. Did notice that the building sets over a little bit. Enough where I can run one more row of gravel down the opposite side of those beams on the closest road side. At least got us a 65%, I guess. Let's take a moment and see if we can spread anything at all with this. It's really unfortunate that you can't just set your bucket down and give it the side swipe, move things around, but it's the way it is. We definitely use a little more material by the looks, but thinking if we can get right in, gently scrape back, yeah, it pulls it right off pretty quick. No, I'm gonna need a dozer in here. The unfortunate truth. I don't really care for this dozer, but it is really small. Maybe I'll Whoops, wrong button, wrong button, wrong button. Oh, that was right there. Oh, what have I done? Sorting machines by class, manufacturer, manufacturer. Here we go. My God, I'm struggling. Case, I need case. R2, Scania, Bell, Bobcat, case, right there. Let's rent this thing. Going to hopefully get this gravel pushed out and probably call it a night for tonight. We'll compact most all of it tomorrow and get started on the rest of it in the morning. Oh, this one does angle. Try and push a little bit in between these beams, I guess, while I'm right here. Can't really dump in between them. It is super hard to judge where your blade is. Kind of just got to listen to it and watch your elevation as you go. Make sure you're not diving in too hard. Seem to be gaining pretty quick percentage here. We're at 69, just leveling that out and pushing a little bit in behind there. Try and drop down right here and skate a little of this around. Try and wing it back my way toward these beams and see if we can push a little bit out toward the beams. Pretty thin on material here in the center, so I thinned out most of that with the bucket loader, so we'll shoot for just one little strip right here, and I think we're going to have to add a bit more gravel. Yeah, got us 3/4 of the way. We're close. I think what we'll do is we'll pour a pretty good pile here at the end because we've obviously got, you can see the yellow line coming. Oh, we're getting dark. Flashlight. See the yellow line coming around the perimeter of the job site, heads right over there, so we're missing this whole entire area. As well as we get a little bit more right up tight to these beams and push in between them. A bit more here. So we'll fill in those spots and push that around a little bit, and that should 100% us on putting gravel here. I don't have enough money for gravel. That is not a good situation. Well, that puts me in a sticky situation. I think I'm going to have to take a quick trip to the gravel pit and buy as much as I can and hope it's enough where I can get 25% spread out. I don't really want to fast travel though, because that's going to take even more money, so we'll buzz down real quick. Of course, I've got to be on the overpass. I do, worst case scenario, have the JCB excavator that I can sell, but I'll end up losing a bit of money on it and end up having to buy it again. I thought I had enough to at least suffice getting the material for this job here, but I basically didn't have enough to. When you do an auto load of gravel, it does charge you a little bit extra to auto load, but it will only fill a full truck. It won't fill a partial truck. So with $16,499, say it's $18,000 to fill a full truck, it's not going to fill it. Auto load, so I'm hoping by coming down to the gravel pit, I can just hold the triangle button and it will fill my truck until it hits the $16,000 mark, and I'll at least get some material. And then I'm just going to have to be very smart about where I place it on the job site. I'm going to try to get 25% out of a partial load. If I can, it'll advance me to the next level. I'll have to roll it out, compact it in the morning. I won't need to buy any material for that, so no money needed, and I should get paid for those next two steps, which will give me enough money where I can continue on. I'm just kind of in a little bit of a pinch at the moment. Of course, I've already taken out the $250,000 loan, so I can't take a loan out. Theoretically need to start paying my loan back. Oh, let's see, I need a gravel. It may also let me get a full load and put me in the negative by manually, you don't have enough money. So that probably, almost a full tank. Yep, takes every bit of my money, puts me at zero. You are broke. Take out a loan, sell unused equipment. Do anything but sell yourself. Okay, let's see. Nope. How do I get back to my job? Usually spot as you drive around the map, these little sites that have the blue fence around them are more than likely going to end up being a job. I think when you're in between jobs, they'll have like a little contract over those spots, and you can do those jobs, but you can see them sitting there before you do them, which is pretty cool. Coming out of that corner a little hot, I guess, but no traffic, no pedestrians, no nothing. I just try and follow the road as much as I can, but I think for most of these lives, I'm going to try and fast travel some of this stuff and not spend a whole bunch of time on the road. I know it's not the most entertaining thing to watch. And there is midnight. Whoops, I need to watch where I'm going. So that reset all my rentals, interest payments on the loan, anything I owed money on just came out. Where am I going here? So yeah, I'm officially negative $10,000 in the game. I believe it's the third job in. I went with a pretty good sized contract. Campaign, rather. So, struggling through it, but we got a pretty much full load of gravel here. We're going to see if we can strategically place it. Oh, that's where I was backing in. That's about a half of a truckload there, if not more. And then I think I'm going to leave the other half of it right down here on this end of the site where the gravel leaves off, and then we'll just push from right there out through to the rest of this. At least puts us at 80%, so we've only got to come up with 21% of pushing around material. Poor guy is running out of breath. Working him hard. Alright, so let's see. Try and push some of this here out first. Puts us at 80%, so not much gain out of that. This, I think, is where we're going to get most of our gain, I hope. Well, I think I'm going to break one of my own rules here and get out of POV so I can try and thin this out as much as I can while I can see what my blade's doing. Because I don't have much to work with here. I don't think it's going to happen. Well, I think I'm going to just say that I went too quick on buying some of my equipment here and see what I can actually know. I can get rid of this. And that gives me more than enough to finish doing what I need to do. It's like I've completed a few milestones, which is you kind of work your way up to like a level 20. As you gain levels, you can get things like each bucket scoop gets more dirt, or it's worth more money, or makes things more efficient through the game, so you don't have to work quite as hard to get what you're getting. And another milestone. Dumped quite a bit right there in front of the dozer just because I think I got to, I gotta start pushing some out in between those beams. I think just, whoops, there's a beam right there. Just to help push things through. It's gonna add a little more on this side, but yeah, we will. Jump back into the dozer and see if we push those through those beams. We're really only lacking 13% or so here. So I'm gonna have to just go back to POV because it's a little hard to see where you're going, I guess, in that view. I've run POV so much that it's almost easier to see where you're going. Alright, that sets us at 90%. Try and work my way through here. Maybe I can back drag that in a little bit. Maybe not. quite obviously need a little bit more down here. A little more bit across the center. It takes quite a few truckloads to fill these areas in. Alright, so we leave a good amount down here so we can push that around and hopefully clean up this end. And we'll see if we can leave the rest of it right down the center here. Fill in our last few spots. %, so well, still a good spot right there that could be filled in too. Okay, that puts us at 96. I think that one spot that I had noticed there, as well as a little bit around the edges, we can go into our construction view and see all the spots that we're lacking. Definitely lacking a good solid spot right there. And all this area here. So we'll put half a load there and half a load there and spread those two areas out. That should 2% apiece get us to 100%. And I think I'm going to wrap it up for tonight. Continue this on tomorrow morning. Alright, so we got about a half a truckload there. And it was right here at the end of this one. Or did I leave it right here? In fact, puts us at 97%, so we've got even less. So it shouldn't take much more than just pushing these piles out. $98. $99. I don't even know if I'm going to have to touch the other side of it. Oh man, 1% is killing me here. Whoops, I'm gonna make it worse. I really hate to think about putting more gravel on a dump truck for this 1%. I suppose to not drag this out forever, I'm going to pour more gravel. Can't imagine. Well, still lacking that whole entire corner, I guess, so. Oops, 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 oops. My bed is up. Well, there. Now I have a great mess. I can't believe that doesn't put us at 100% right there. There it is. Good Lord. Oh, it seems I'm still on the pad here, so let's, before we wrap it up, we'll drive all this stuff off and let it level itself out so we can start fresh in the morning. And there it is. All of our pillars set, the steel I-beams are set, which is essentially going to be an outer wall to the warehouse. You'll put some panels in between each of these, and there'll be a roof structure that goes on top of that, ties itself in, and then a bunch of roof panels, which will be all the crane work. And yeah, that'll pretty much wrap up the warehouse. So we'll see you again in the morning.